Ladies and gentlemen, Ray is always very generous in my presentations. I'm very pleased to be here today, and especially to be a silent moderator of an extremely interesting panel about energy. So please let me introduce you the three panelists, and I will start with a young minister, Stanford and Harvard alumnus, member of the Romanian government since 2019, and acting Minister of Energy, Mr. Sebastian Burduja. Monsieur Claude Begley, former member of the Swiss Parliament, former Director General of the Swiss Post. Whoever does not know about the Swiss Post, it's always in time, still today. Okay, and active today for energy and environment. Monsieur Begley, bienvenue. Last but not least, of course, former Prime Minister of Moldavia and passionate about environment protection, Kirill Gaburic. Welcome, bine ați venit. Gentlemen, we have half an hour to discuss about energy. Minister Burduja will have to leave at a certain moment, and this is understandable. We have always, all of us, been there, so we know that time becomes something that we don't control any longer. I would just give you a couple of ideas about what we would like to speak, and then please feel free to speak. I'm going to be silent as soon as possible. So we speak about energy as a problem or opportunity, and obviously would like to have some ideas regarding the specificity of the hospitality business. We speak about costs, energy costs, especially after the pandemics, up to hotels as prosumers. But in between, I think that we could touch also the climate change and the European Green Deal. What is the impact of this? And what eventual alternative solutions we have for energy, and also if network and share grid for hotels could be an idea. Tianu, thank you for being here. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Razvan, my dear and very young friend. And to you all, and congratulations for this wonderful event. I'm very impressed, and thank you for raising the issue of energy prices. I'm going to stand, I think, just so you can see me better in the back. We live in interesting times, and that's a challenge and an opportunity. And I know you all have been through interesting times. I don't think there's a tougher job than being Deputy Minister of Tourism during the pandemic. But today...
You were one of finance in those times. So.
That's true. Today, indeed, energy is recognized as the key ingredient for development, really. It's about our livelihood every day. It's about the bills we have to pay every month. But it's also about economic competitiveness. And recently, and for the first time in many, many years, somebody in the EU said it that perhaps we've gone a little too far and too fast on the path towards decarbonization, and we have affected our competitiveness, and people are suffering. And that creates many issues, including the ones we are seeing in Romania today. And I will try hard not to make this a political speech, but nothing is without a connection to what is happening. Unfortunately, for many, many years, the truth is the country has not invested in its energy sector. We have lived off of whatever previous generations had built, a lot of hydro, a lot of coal, some gas. Since 2012, roughly, we have shut down thousands of megawatts of base load production in coal and gas, fossil fuels, but have not put much instead. This is starting to change, and I will try to be optimistic at a difficult time. And my optimism is grounded on a few things that we, I believe, have managed to do over the past year and a half. I'll be very brief. On the policy level, we have, since last week, after 17 years, 1-7, a new energy strategy for Romania. That lays out a plan on what the country will do in its energy sector. It will transition away from coal to gas in the short to medium term as a transition fuel, and then medium to long term to nuclear, based on our tradition, experience, performance to date, so on and so forth. This, in our mind, guarantees a Romanian solution to the energy trilemma, in that we all need energy that is secure, affordable, and clean. And our opinion, and it's written in the strategy, is that this is the right order of priority: security, competitiveness, and level of green ambition. Beyond policies, though, we've moved very fast over the past year and a half to invest in our energy sector. Even today, it's very hard to cover our consumption, believe it or not. I'm talking about electricity, not gas. On gas, we're doing well. We're covering our consumption. We'll be doing even better a few years from now. In 2027, we'll double our production through the Neptune Deep project. But on electricity, we're chasing megawatts around the region, and we're all in trouble. That's because, again, we have not invested. But there is a big but here. We have invested close to 14 billion euros, or attracted them at least, from non-reimbursable, from grant funding in just a year and a few months. That's 10,000 megawatts in solar and wind. It's 3,500 megawatts in gas. It's 2,200 megawatts in nuclear. It's at least 500 megawatts in hydro, and finishing up projects that were started 30, 40 years ago. And in storage, where we have about close to 1,000 megawatts now that have been financed. All this means that Romania's production capacity will double in the next 3 to 5 years. And it will a lot more than double come 2032, when we will have 2 additional nuclear reactors. One of my proudest moments was signing that in Baku at COP29 recently. It's a project that was deadlocked for the past 30 years. And we'll have offshore wind in the Black Sea, for which a few months ago, 6 months ago, I guess, we passed legislation in Parliament, and we're the only country on the Black Sea to have legislation for offshore production of energy. My last point. All this will take time. There's no magic wand. Nuclear reactors take 5 to 7 years, so do offshore wind facilities, so do high voltage direct current transmission lines from Azerbaijan to Georgia under the Black Sea to Romania and Hungary, a very important project that covers the Republic of Moldova too, our brothers. All this takes time. And believe me, since Sunday I've received a lot of calls from many investors asking what the hell is going on. We were so thrilled, we were ready to bring billions of euros in Romanian investment. All is not lost, but we're very close to a big problem that will take decades to solve. And I really don't want all this work to go to hell, because we've worked very hard over the past few years to build credibility, to build trust, to build confidence in Romania. And so please, if you can help, wherever you're from, but especially if you're from here, understand that we are on the brink of disaster. So please act. Again, I don't want to make this a political speech, but I cannot ignore what is happening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Monsieur Begley, Switzerland is well known about the concerns regarding energy sustainability.
Thank you. So I will do the same than you. We all stand up. Then we are better targets. There are very, very few sectors where the best, the most idealistic view meet so closely with realism. Actually, energy is the way to a better world. Energy is very closely linked with sustainability, environment protection. This is why renewable energies and all of that. But as you just said, at the end, what matters is the energy supply and the cost, much more than the idealistic things. And there's a complete disconnect between the long-term idealistic view and the hic and nunc obligation to make sure that our economies survive. So when you see Germany who said, well, I'm going to go out of nuclear, I'm also going to go out of carbon, and now the first economy of Europe is suffering. Very much, not because of them, but because of the cost of the energy which were coming from gas from Russia, and the economy cannot follow with so high price of the energy. So the idealistic view now has to be readjusted at the pace of realism. It's sad, but it's a reality. I was in the COP in Baku, and the mood was nothing positive. People were pessimistic. There was that big fight between the North and the South. And finally, they got kind of a minimalist compromise. Nobody is really satisfied. And nobody can be satisfied. So, you know, if you take the current situation with what happened in the US, actually, had the Republicans or the Democrats won the election, in both cases, national interest would have prevailed on international cooperation. And of course, with Trump, even more so. But in both cases, it would have been the case. And what now happens is that America says, look, we look at our interest, and you have the right to follow us or to follow us. So we will put the duties, we will restore the jobs in America, you may lose some jobs in your respective countries. Our debt will go to the sky, it doesn't matter, but you have to follow us. And in terms of energy, we go back to fossil energy because it's good for us. And the others will not have much choice than to deal with that. So we would need a narrative which is multilateral, which today does not exist, and which is stable. Somehow, and maybe I will shock a few of you, I apologize for that, but sometimes I feel a bit disappointed. 10, 15 years ago, we told to the developing countries like China, India, we told them, oh, you are going to develop, you are going to burn so much coal and energy that you will pollute the world. So please, take measures. No, China took measures. China built incredible photovoltaic plants, now developed that electrical car industry. Now we say, no, dumping. Now you are making unfair competition to us. So we should not change the narrative. There should be a long-term policy which is stable. And we should not adapt the story depending on the circumstances. It's extremely important because energy is not only energy, energy is environment. And if we think short term, everybody goes back to some level of selfishness. But if we think long term, we are all on the same planet, and our, let's say, the quality of life of our grandchildren will very much depend on the decisions we are making now. So in short, we would need multilateral forum, which for the time being is on a down, but it's cyclical, it will change. We have also the possibility through the private sector to have norms. Take ISO. ISO is a very interesting instrument. It's nothing to see with United Nations, with government. It's purely private initiative, but it's followed by more or less everybody in all the countries. You may have inspirational leader. So for example, what I'm doing with my little startup, king of Bhutan believes in that. A prince of Monaco, or Al Gore, or I worked for Arnold Schwarzenegger. Those are people who are inspirational leaders, and they show the way, and people tend to follow them. That's good. But what we need is basically now something which comes bottom up. So we would need, for the hotel industry, that there would be a green label, which says we all agree to try to go for a certain level of waste management, of cyclical economy, of renewable energy. Give you a very last example. I was totally surprised. I'm in the field of sustainability for the cleaning and disinfection of hotels, etc. So I never expected that in India, the need came from those youngsters who just are graduate from university. It's the Z generation. They say, I want to work for a sustainable company. So the chief recruiter tells to the facility manager and the builders, please build green. Please build green so that I can recruit those guys who are working in the IT industry. And this is a very concrete example where you don't need to have a sophisticated EU regulation, which is more or less a compromise and people. No, it comes from the grassroots. So we have to try to find cases where clean energies, where sustainability come from a need from the bottom. This will make sure that it will never be challenged. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Minister Bourgeois, thank you for coming. Good luck on Sunday. Prime Minister Gaburic, we speak the same language. We are neighbors. We feel the same for lots of topics. We have a definitely certain common past. Do problems, solutions for energy, are they the same? Moldavia with Romania.
Thank you. First of all, hello everyone. I'm happy to be here and thank you for having me here at this event. Before coming to your question, Razvan, I would like to say a couple of things about me. Coming from Moldova, I have 15 years of experience in telecommunication business. Then I had a chance to work and to serve my country as Minister of Economy and Infrastructure, responsible for energy as well, and Prime Minister of my country. Last 7 years, I'm in renewable business with my Danish partners. We develop projects in Republic of Moldova, and we used to develop some of the projects in Ukraine. Energy situation in my country is it's much more different than the situation in Romania, and adding to the words that Mr. Minister Burduja mentioned, that I would say that we are so happy to have Romania, our neighboring country, because of the war in Ukraine, we had twice the situation when we were blackout, so we were not having energy at all for a couple of hours, and the Romanian Brotherhood right away came into the picture and helped us with sorting out the situation. So the network that was basically under different frequencies than Romania, we managed to set up and to work under the same frequency very fast. We are talking today about hospitality business, and I would like to mention that people, especially these days, people from this business, they are heroes of our days, because they are in a very difficult market. They are having, we were talking today, there was a mentioning today about the fact that it's a very unpredictable how the things are going, and what any single decision geopolitical can change the situation of a small hotel or a big chain hotel as well in one or another country. In order to succeed in this business today, those people that are in this business, it's not enough to achieve or to have a customer satisfied by achieving the expectations. No, I think what you are doing is you are creating the expectation, and you are trying to surprise us, to surprise the customers by giving some new expectations on the market, and that's wonderful. I think that will make this business to go through different changes, but to have a potential and a growing possibilities in the future. At the same time, the competition is high. We talked about instability, and a lot of things are not clear how they will move from one point to another. And there are a lot of costs that are coming on top, and these costs are growing up. And then, because we would like to have as much as possible people coming into the hotels, when it's about cost, they may choose not to come to the hotel. So energy price increase, that is affecting basically the hotel's activity or the hospitality business from 2 points of view. First, because the operational costs are going up, and that's because of the lightening of the hotels, because of the food, because of the heating, cooling, and so on, laundry services. But from another side, when for a certain number of population, the cost of the energy is going up, then they will choose not to go to a hotel. So it's a heat from both sides, I would say. When customers are heated, I think this is the most important, or this is the indirect but a big hit into the hotel business, because when it's about your own cost, I'm sure you are trying to find the ways to be more efficient. You are trying to find ways to give better services, to see where you can get the costs down in one way or another. And you are doing it good, like I was mentioning. Being a person involved in renewable energy, I can say that it's simple to say, okay, the hotels can go green, but that's another huge cost or a huge investment that is going to hit, or is hitting already some of you. And the best thing, if this transition to green is going to happen without big ups and downs. So when I say this, I want us to try to motivate the governments in any countries to get indirect communication with the business, with the hospitality business, to try to get governments involved by different. There are many possibilities where and how governments can get involved, but to get involved in helping the transition, because the rest you do perfectly. So when I'm mentioning about transition, I would like to say that this heat of investment that every single hotel will have to do on the way, here we need to attract the attention of governments. And that can be through the loans with the preferred interest rates, that can be through different programs, that can be done with different remuneration for the green hotels that would help them to move forward. And that can be done through the education of the population. This is another important thing that I would like to mention, that we have to learn and to teach the population around us or people around us to become more, how should I call it, more, yes. We have to understand that we are very big consumers, so we have to become very rational consumers at a certain point. And that's a huge work to be done. And I think hotels can also contribute to this.
Thank you very much. So if we should resume, I would say that Mr. Buduja mentioned about Romania, luckily, that we have our own resources and we should definitely use them more than ever. Mr. Begley, we should try and keep the narrative as much as possible. And I will close with the idea of education, which definitely is probably the key for any success of a society. You know, in the hotel business, we had that saying, Hilton, I think, was mentioning this, that location, location, location should be that important things, 3 major things for the success of a hotel. And I would say that success today is education, education, education. Thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you.